a factual account, based on verified reporting and public court records. For nearly a decade, Brad Pitt said almost nothing publicly about the end of his marriage to Angelina Jolie. While tabloids speculated, lawyers sparred in court, and the internet constructed its own version of events, Pitt largely let the silence speak for itself. Then, in May 2025, in a GQ cover story built around the release of his racing film F1, he addressed the divorce on the record for the first time. This account lays out what has actually been confirmed, through his own words, court filings, and reporting from major outlets, and separates that from the speculation that has surrounded this story for years. Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie met on the set of Mr. and Mrs. Smith in the mid-2000s, while Pitt was still married to Jennifer Aniston. Their on-screen chemistry drew immediate and intense tabloid attention, and by the time Pitt and Aniston's divorce was finalized, the media had already built a narrative around Pitt and Jolie's relationship. The couple went on to raise 6 children together: Maddox, Pax, Zahara, Shiloh, and twins Knox and Vivian, born or adopted between the mid-2000s and 2008, before marrying in a private ceremony in 2014 at Chateau Miraval, the French estate they had purchased together in 2008. For a period, the couple and their large, international family were treated by much of the press as a model of a modern Hollywood household. That public image did not match the more complicated reality unfolding privately, which came into full view only 2 years after the wedding. In September 2016, Angelina Jolie filed for divorce from Brad Pitt, just days after an incident aboard a private flight from France to the United States. According to Jolie's later legal filings and reporting from NBC News, she alleged that Pitt had been physically abusive toward her and their children during the flight, including an allegation that he had choked one of the children during the altercation. Pitt's side has disputed key details of the specific allegations. Because the flight crossed international airspace, the FBI opened an investigation into the incident. The Los Angeles County Department of Child and Family Services conducted a separate inquiry into the children's welfare. Both agencies ultimately closed their investigations without pursuing criminal charges. The FBI's report, later obtained by NBC News through a Freedom of Information Act request, found insufficient evidence to proceed, and child welfare investigators did not substantiate a finding of abuse. Jolie did not pursue the matter further through criminal channels after the investigations concluded. Even without criminal charges, the allegations changed the public narrative around Pitt permanently and set in motion nearly a decade of legal proceedings. Although Jolie filed for divorce in 2016, the legal process took far longer than most divorces to resolve. In 2019, a court granted the couple a bifurcated judgment, a legal mechanism that declared them officially single while other matters, including finances and custody arrangements, remained unresolved. It would take another 5 years before the divorce was fully and finally settled. That final resolution came on December 30th, 2024, when court filings confirmed the divorce was complete. As part of the settlement, Jolie's legal team confirmed she had waived any right to receive spousal support from Pitt going forward. A representative for Pitt did not comment publicly on the settlement at the time it was finalized. Custody of the children evolved over the years of the legal process, with reporting indicating Jolie held primary custody for a significant stretch while the case was ongoing, though the precise custody terms were not always made public in detail. Nearly 5 months after the divorce was finalized, Brad Pitt gave his first substantive public comments on the matter. The interview appeared in GQ on May 28, 2025, as part of a larger feature on his new Formula One racing film, made in collaboration with driver-turned-producer Lewis Hamilton and director Joseph Kosinski. Asked whether he felt a sense of relief now that the legal battle was fully behind him, Pitt was notably understated. He said he didn't think it was that major of a thing, describing the finalization as simply something that was legally coming to fruition. It was a far cry from the dramatic public reckoning some had anticipated after years of silence. The interviewer also asked about his relationship with Ines de Ramon, a jewelry industry executive he had been dating since 2022, and specifically about their first public appearance together at the 2024 British Grand Prix. Pitt pushed back on the suggestion that the timing had been a calculated PR move, saying that relationships in life simply evolve on their own, and that if he were the kind of person who calculated moments like that, it would be exhausting to live that way. On the broader question of living for decades under intense media scrutiny, Pitt described fame as an ongoing annoyance he has had to manage in different forms and degrees while trying to focus on the work that actually matters to him. He characterized his current life as feeling contained, warm, and secure, citing his relationships with friends, family, and his partner as sources of stability. Notably absent from the interview, any direct comment on the 2016 flight incident, any remarks about his relationships with his children individually, and any response to specific estrangement claims that had circulated in tabloid media for years. Those topics remain things Pitt has not addressed on the record, despite persistent public curiosity. One element frequently folded into discussion of the divorce is actually a distinct, ongoing legal case. The fight over Chateau Miraval, the French winery estate the couple bought together in 2008 and married at in 2014. In 2021, Jolie sold her roughly 50% stake in the property to a subsidiary of the Stoli Group, a spirits company controlled by Russian-born businessman Yuri Shefler. Pitt filed suit against Jolie in February 2022 in a case formally titled William B. Pitt versus Angelina Jolie, alleging that the two had an understanding, partly verbal, partly reflected in written agreements about shares in the winery's holding company, that neither would sell their respective stakes without the other's consent. Pitt's complaint argued that Jolie's sale was completed without his knowledge and denied him a right of first refusal. Jolie's side has denied that any binding agreement of that kind existed and filed counterclaims of her own, seeking damages. Reporting has also included claims from sources close to Jolie that Pitt had refused to buy out her stake unless she agreed to sign a non-disclosure agreement regarding the events surrounding their split, a claim Pitt's side has not confirmed. The case has proceeded through years of contentious discovery fights. In 2023, filings showed that Pitt's legal team was pursuing $35 million in damages, alleging that Jolie's sale had harmed Miraval's ongoing business operations. Jolie's team argued that the scope of document production Pitt was demanding was itself a burden created by his own lawsuit. Separately, the winery's holding company, Nouvel, filed cross-claims accusing Pitt's side of mismanaging the property, including allegations about unnecessary renovation spending. In November 2024, a judge ruled that Pitt's core breach of contract claims could proceed to trial. As of mid-2026, the case remains active. In June 2026, a California court granted Pitt's motion to compel depositions from Stoli Group executives connected to the original sale, a procedural win for his side. A trial date has been set for February 1, 2027. This means the Miraval litigation has now outlasted the divorce itself by more than 2 years and shows no sign of concluding soon. It's worth being clear about what this case is and isn't. It is a commercial contract dispute over a shared business asset litigated separately from the divorce, in a different court process, with different legal questions at stake. Media coverage sometimes blurs the two, but they are legally distinct matters. Much of the speculation about the Pitt-Jolie family centers on the 6 children and their relationships with their father. Some of what circulates online is backed by public court filings. A great deal more is not. What is documented? Zahara publicly used only Jolie as her surname in 2023 when she was introduced at a sorority initiation ceremony at Spelman College. Shiloh, the couple's 4th child, filed a formal legal petition in Los Angeles County on her 18th birthday, May 27, 2024, to remove Pitt from her name. California law requires petitioners to publish notice of a name change in a local newspaper before a judge will grant it, and Shiloh's attorney did so on her behalf. A Los Angeles Superior Court judge approved the petition that August, officially changing her legal name from Shiloh Nouvel Jolie Pitt to Shiloh Nouvel Jolie. Reporting at the time indicated Shiloh had hired and paid for her own attorney to handle the process. A year later, she debuted yet another public name, Cher Jolie, at a fashion industry event. Vivian has also used the name Vivian Jolie professionally, appearing under that name in the program for the Broadway production of The Outsiders, where she has worked alongside her mother in a production role. What is reported, but not documented in court filings? Broader claims that all 6 children are estranged from Pitt appear repeatedly in entertainment reporting, generally sourced to unnamed insiders rather than public records or on-the-record statements from the children themselves. Specific claims about individual children's private statements, alleged social media posts, or detailed descriptions of their emotional state around their father are not independently verified by court documents and should be treated as unconfirmed, regardless of how often they're repeated across outlets. Professionally, Pitt has remained an active and influential figure in Hollywood throughout this period. His production company, Plan B Entertainment, has continued to back critically acclaimed and award-winning films. In 2025, Pitt returned to a leading role with F1, a Formula One racing drama produced in part by Apple, marking one of his most high-profile screen appearances in several years. Personally, Pitt has been in a relationship with Ines de Ramon since 2022. The couple made their first public red carpet appearance together at the 2024 Venice Film Festival. Contrary to some circulating claims of an engagement, reporting through 2025 and into 2026 consistently indicates the couple has no current wedding plans. Sources cited by multiple outlets describe the relationship as stable and serious, noting the pair moved in together and have been seen at public events supporting friends such as George Clooney, but describe marriage as something neither party is currently pursuing. Some reporting suggests de Ramon values her privacy and has intentionally kept the relationship low-key, a contrast frequently noted against the intensely public nature of Pitt's marriage to Jolie. Angelina Jolie, for her part, has continued working as a filmmaker, producer, and humanitarian, and has collaborated professionally with her daughter Vivian on Broadway. It's easy to see why this story generates so much attention. It involves two of the most famous people in the world, a decade-long legal saga, serious allegations, and a large blended family navigating fame and conflict simultaneously. But it's also a story where the gap between confirmed fact and circulated claim is unusually wide. What's solidly established? The timeline of the marriage and divorce filing, the FBI and child welfare investigations and their outcomes, the eventual finalization of the divorce in December 2024, Pitt's actual on-the-record comments to GQ in May 2025, the existence and continuing progress of the separate Miraval lawsuit, and the documented, court-filed name changes among some of the children. What remains speculative or unverified? The precise details of what happened aboard that 2016 flight beyond the broad allegations and denials already on record, characterizations of individual children's private feelings toward their father, and specific dramatic claims, quoted social media posts, detailed described confrontations, or claims of imminent reconciliation or further estrangement that appear across entertainment media without a clear, checkable source. Brad Pitt's own public position, as expressed in his only substantive comments on the matter, is notably restrained, not a triumphant closing of a chapter, not a bitter airing of grievances, but a brief acknowledgement that a long legal process has, in his words, simply come to fruition. The rest of the story, particularly the parts involving his children, remains, by his own choice, still largely unspoken in public.